After I cheated, she made me her girlfriend. If you had told me a year ago that I would end up sitting on my girlfriend's couch in a tight black dress, my legs shaved smooth, my lips painted red, and her calling me her girlfriend, I would have laughed in your face. But life has a cruel sense of humor. And my biggest mistake started with a lie. My name is Ethan Carter, and for most of my life I believed I was just a normal guy. I worked as a junior marketing analyst at a fast-growing tech company in downtown Chicago, the kind of job where you wear pressed shirts, pretend you understand spreadsheets, and survive on coffee and deadlines. My life was simple, predictable, safe. At least it was supposed to be. Because there was always one secret part of me I kept buried so deep that I convinced myself it didn't exist. The first time I tried on women's clothes, I was 16 years old. My older sister had left for a party, and her room was empty. I remember walking past her door, seeing her closet slightly open. Inside hung rows of dresses and shoes. Something about them pulled me in. At the time, I didn't understand why. Curiosity, maybe. Or something deeper I didn't have the courage to admit. I told myself I was just joking around when I slipped on one of her skirts. But when the soft fabric brushed my legs, something strange happened. My heart raced. Not from fear. From excitement. I stood in front of her mirror staring at myself, feeling a mix of embarrassment and fascination. I quickly changed back, promising myself it was a one-time thing. Except it wasn't. Over the years, that curiosity became a secret habit. Late nights, locked doors, borrowed clothes I secretly ordered online and hid in the back of my closet. I wasn't trying to become someone else. It was more like stepping into a different version of myself, one that felt oddly confident and alive. But I never told anyone. Not my friends, not my coworkers, and definitely not Mia. Mia Lawson was the best thing that ever happened to me. We met 2 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. She was loud, confident, and effortlessly beautiful, the kind of woman who could walk into a room and instantly own it. Long dark hair, sharp green eyes, and a smile that could melt steel. She worked as a fashion stylist, which meant she understood clothing and style in ways I never could. Ironically, the one person in the world who might have understood my secret was the person I hid it from the most. Our relationship moved fast. Within 6 months, we were practically living together in her apartment, a sleek, modern place filled with designer clothes, mirrors, and high heels scattered like art pieces across the floor. Mia was passionate, intense, the kind of girlfriend who loved hard but also expected loyalty. Total loyalty. And that's where everything fell apart. Because 6 weeks ago, I cheated. It wasn't some dramatic affair. No grand romance. Just a stupid night after too many drinks at a company event. A coworker flirted with me. I flirted back. And one terrible decision later, I woke up the next morning drowning in regret. I told myself it meant nothing. I told myself Mia would never find out. But secrets have a way of crawling into the light. 3 weeks later, Mia discovered everything. Not through rumors, not through messages, but through something far worse. She walked into my apartment early and saw me standing in front of the mirror wearing a dress. My secret life and my betrayal exposed at the same time. I still remember the look on her face. Shock, then silence, then something colder. I expected screaming, crying, maybe a slap. Instead, Mia did something far more terrifying. She smiled, slowly, calmly, like she had just figured out the perfect revenge. That night she sat across from me at the kitchen table, arms folded, eyes studying me like I was a puzzle she had finally solved. "You cheated on me," she said quietly. I nodded.
My throat felt dry.
"I'm sorry." She tilted her head slightly. "And you like wearing women's clothes." My stomach dropped. I couldn't even speak. For a long moment she simply watched me squirm. Then she leaned back in her chair and crossed her legs. "Well," she finally said, her voice dangerously calm. "If you enjoy pretending to be a girl so much." Her lips curved into a slow smile. "Then you can start acting like my girlfriend instead of my boyfriend." At first I thought she was joking. A strange punishment. A weird game. But Mia didn't laugh. Instead, she stood up, walked to her closet, and pulled out a tight red dress. Then she tossed it onto the table in front of me. "You broke my trust," she said. "So, now you're going to earn it back." Her eyes locked onto mine. "And you're going to do it exactly the way I want." That was the moment I realized something terrifying. Mia wasn't just angry. She was serious. And somehow, my secret had just become her weapon. I looked down at the dress lying on the table.
Soft.
Elegant. Dangerous. My hands trembled as I touched the fabric. Because deep down, I knew something had just changed. My punishment wasn't going to last one night. Or 1 week. Mia was planning something much bigger. Something that would blur the line between humiliation and transformation. And before I could even begin to understand what she meant, she gave her first command. "Go change," she said softly. "Your new life starts tonight." For a long moment, I didn't move. The red dress lay on the table between us like a challenge or a trap. My fingers hovered over the fabric, my mind racing. "Mia, you can't be serious," I finally said, my voice barely steady. "This isn't funny." She didn't smile. She didn't even blink. Instead, she leaned casually against the kitchen counter, arms folded, watching me the way a scientist watches an experiment. "Oh, I'm completely serious," she said calmly. Her tone was so relaxed it made my stomach twist. "This is just revenge?" I asked. Mia tilted her head. "No," she said slowly. "This is balance." The word echoed in my chest. Balance. "You betrayed me," she continued. "You humiliated me. And apparently you've been hiding this whole other side of yourself." Her eyes flicked toward the dress. "So now we're going to bring everything into the open." My throat tightened. "This is insane." "Is it?" she replied coolly. She stepped forward, picking up the red dress and holding it in front of me. The fabric shimmered under the kitchen light. "You like wearing women's clothes," she said quietly. "Don't pretend you don't." My heart pounded. She wasn't wrong. But hearing her say it out loud made my face burn with shame. It's not like that," I muttered. Mia raised an eyebrow. "Oh," she said. Then she leaned closer. "Because when I walked into your apartment that day, you didn't look embarrassed." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You looked comfortable." I had no answer. Because the truth was she was right. Even in that horrifying moment when my secret was exposed, a small part of me had felt something else. Relief. Mia placed the dress back on the table and slid it toward me. "Go put it on." The command was quiet, but absolute. My chest tightened. "You're enjoying this," I said bitterly. Mia shrugged. "Maybe." Then she smiled faintly. "Or maybe I'm just curious." "Curious about what?" Her eyes glimmered. "About how good my cheating boyfriend will look as my girlfriend." The words hit me like a slap. But something inside me also stirred. That same strange curiosity I'd felt years ago in my sister's room. A dangerous mix of humiliation and temptation. Slowly, reluctantly, I picked up the dress. The fabric felt soft against my fingers. Too soft. Too real. "This is ridiculous," I muttered, standing. "Bedroom," Mia said, pointing down the hall. I hesitated. She crossed her arms. "Don't make me repeat myself." I swallowed hard and walked toward the bedroom. Each step felt heavier than the last. The door closed behind me with a quiet click. For a moment, I just stood there staring at the dress in my hands. Mia's bedroom mirror loomed across the room.
Tall.
Unforgiving. Waiting. My pulse thumped in my ears. I had worn women's clothes before, but always alone. Always secretly. This time was different. This time someone else was waiting to see. Slowly, I removed my shirt, then my jeans. The air felt cold against my skin. The red dress hung from my fingers like a dare. "Just do it," I whispered to myself. My hands trembled as I stepped into it. The fabric slid up my legs smoothly.
Soft.
Cooling. Strange. I pulled the dress over my torso and adjusted it awkwardly. It hugged my body tightly, clinging to my waist and hips. My heart hammered as I turned toward the mirror. The reflection staring back at me made my breath catch. The dress fit disturbingly well. My legs looked longer. My waist looked slimmer. And for a moment, my mind struggled to reconcile what I was seeing. It was still me, but it wasn't the version of me I knew. I ran a nervous hand through my hair. "This is insane," I whispered again. A knock suddenly sounded on the door. My heart nearly jumped out of my chest. "Well?" Mia's voice called from outside. "You done hiding?" I froze. "Give me a second." She laughed softly. "Oh, Ethan," she said. "Trust me, this is only the beginning." The words sent a shiver down my spine. Slowly, I walked toward the door. My hand hovered over the handle. This felt like a point of no return. But Mia had already seen my secret. There was no going back now. I opened the door. Mia stood in the hallway, leaning casually against the wall. The moment her eyes landed on me, she went completely still. Silence stretched between us. Her gaze moved slowly from my shoulders down to the dress, and then to my bare legs. Then something surprising happened. She smiled.
Not mockingly.
Not cruelly. Almost impressed. "Well," she said softly, "I'll admit,
I didn't expect that."
My face burned. Expected what? That you'd look this good. My stomach flipped. That's not funny. "Oh, I'm not joking." She stepped closer. Her eyes studied me carefully, like a stylist evaluating a mannequin. "You've got the right build," she murmured. My heart raced. "Mia, can we stop this now?" She shook her head slowly.
No.
Then she reached behind her and lifted something from the floor. A pair of black high heels. My breath caught. "You're missing something," she said. She placed the heels in front of me. The glossy leather gleamed under the hallway light. "I'm not wearing those," I said quickly. Mia raised an eyebrow. "Oh, you cheated," she reminded me calmly. "You don't really get to negotiate anymore." Her words stung. But she wasn't done. She walked past me into the bedroom and opened her makeup drawer. Lipstick, mascara, foundation, brushes. The tools of transformation spread across the vanity like weapons. My chest tightened. "Mia?" She turned toward me with a slow smile. "If you're going to be my girlfriend," she said, "you should start looking like one." My pulse pounded in my ears as she sat down in front of the mirror and patted the chair beside her. "Come here." I hesitated again. But something strange was happening inside me. Beneath the embarrassment, beneath the humiliation, there was a flicker of something else.
Excitement.
Dangerous, unfamiliar, and completely impossible to ignore. Slowly, I walked toward the chair. Mia's smile widened slightly. "Good," she said softly, "because tonight..." She picked up a lipstick tube and twisted it open. "We're creating someone new." My reflection stared back at me in the mirror. A man in a red dress, standing on the edge of something he didn't fully understand. And somehow, I had the terrifying feeling that Mia's plan had only just begun. The chair in front of Mia's vanity felt suddenly too small, too exposed. I sat down slowly, the red dress pulling tight across my thighs as I lowered myself onto the stool. The fabric rode slightly higher, revealing more of my legs than I was comfortable with. Mia noticed immediately. Her lips curved into a small, satisfied smile.
"You're already learning," she said.
"Learning what?" I muttered nervously. "How to sit like a lady." My face burned. "I'm not." She gently placed a finger on my lips. "Sho." Her touch was calm, almost gentle, which somehow made the situation even more unsettling. "You talk too much for someone who's being punished." The word punished echoed in my mind. My pulse quickened. Mia reached for a small bottle and squeezed some liquid foundation onto her fingers. "Relax," she said. "That's easy for you to say." "Not really," she replied. "You'd be surprised how much patience it takes to fix a cheating boyfriend." Before I could respond, her fingers touched my face.
Cool. Smooth.
She began blending the makeup across my skin with careful strokes. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The only sound in the room was the faint tap of makeup brushes and the quiet rhythm of my breathing. I stared at my reflection. My heart thudded harder with every passing second. The transformation was beginning, layer by layer. Mia leaned closer, concentrating. You've got good skin, she murmured thoughtfully. That's not helping. She ignored the comment. Instead, she picked up a brush and dusted powder across my cheeks. You know, she said casually, most guys would be begging to get out of this situation. I am begging. No, she said calmly. You're cooperating. I swallowed. She wasn't wrong. Some part of me should have been fighting harder. But I wasn't. And that realization made my stomach twist with confusion. Mia picked up a small eyeliner pencil. Look up, she said. I did. Her hand was steady as she carefully traced the edge of my eyelids. Don't blink. That's easy for you to say, I whispered. If you mess this up, we'll start over.
Great.
No pressure. When she finished the eyeliner, she leaned back slightly to examine her work. Then she reached for the lipstick again. Bright red. Bold. Dangerous. My heart began pounding faster. Mia? Yes. This feels like it's going too far. She paused. For a moment, I thought she might stop. Instead, she leaned forward again. That's the point. Her fingers tilted my chin upward. Open your mouth slightly. My lips parted before I could argue. The lipstick glided slowly across them.
Warm. Smooth.
Intimate. I watched the mirror helplessly as my reflection changed again. The red color transformed my face instantly, softening it, feminizing it, blurring the line between who I was and who Mia wanted me to become. When she finished, she set the lipstick down and studied me carefully. Silence filled the room. Well, I asked nervously. Mia didn't answer immediately. Instead, she slowly stood up and walked behind me. Her hands rested lightly on my shoulders as she looked into the mirror over my head. Interesting, she finally said. That's not exactly comforting. She leaned closer. You don't look like Ethan anymore. My stomach dropped. What do I look like? Her lips curved slightly. You look like someone who belongs in one of my fashion shoots. I blinked. You're kidding.
No.
She walked around the chair again, studying me from different angles. Actually, you're missing one final detail. Before I could ask what she meant, she walked to her closet. The door slid open. Inside hung rows and rows of clothes. Dresses, blouses,
Shoes.
accessories. But Mia ignored all of them. Instead, she reached up to the top shelf and pulled something down. A long box. My chest tightened as she brought it back to the vanity. What's that? Mia placed the box on the table and opened it slowly. Inside was a wig.
Long. Silky.
Dark brown. Almost identical to her own hair. You're joking, I said immediately. She raised an eyebrow. Do I look like I'm joking? No way, I said quickly. That's too much. Mia stepped closer. Her expression hardened slightly. You cheated on me. My protest died instantly. She lifted the wig from the box and shook it gently. The strands shimmered under the bedroom light. Stand up, she ordered. I hesitated again. Her eyes narrowed. Slowly, I rose from the chair. The dress clung to my body as I moved. Mia positioned herself behind me. Hold still. The wig slid over my head. Her fingers adjusted it carefully, tucking my real hair underneath. Then she turned me toward the mirror again. I froze. The person staring back at me didn't look like Ethan Carter anymore. The long hair framed my face. The makeup softened my features. The red dress hugged my body perfectly. I looked like a woman. My breath caught in my throat. Oh my God, I whispered. Mia smiled slowly. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. I stared at the mirror, struggling to process what I was seeing. My mind felt dizzy, confused, strangely fascinated. Mia leaned against the dresser and crossed her arms. You know what the funny part is? What? You look better than half the girls I style. I let out a nervous laugh. That's not funny. Oh, I think it's hilarious. She stepped closer again. Then she picked up the black heels from earlier. Almost forgot. My stomach dropped again. Mia, lift your foot. I didn't move. She sighed. Ethan. Slowly, reluctantly, I raised one foot. The high heels slid onto it. Then the other. When both were on, Mia stepped back. Now walk. You're kidding. Walk. I tried taking a step. The heels wobbled dangerously. I grabbed the edge of the vanity to steady myself. Mia laughed softly. Careful. This is impossible. You'll learn. Another step. Then another. The heels forced my posture upright. My hips moved differently. Everything felt unfamiliar, yet strangely natural at the same time. Mia watched with clear amusement. Look at you, she said. I hate this. No, you don't. I opened my mouth to argue, but the words never came, because deep down I wasn't sure she was wrong. She stepped closer and brushed a strand of the wig behind my ear. Then she looked directly into my eyes through the mirror. Congratulations, she said quietly. Your transformation is officially complete. My heart pounded. What happens now? Mia smiled, the kind of smile that meant trouble.
Now.
She picked up her phone. We introduced my new girlfriend to the world. My blood ran cold. Mia, what? Her thumb hovered over the screen. You didn't think this punishment would stay private, did you? The room suddenly felt smaller, more dangerous, because in that moment, I realized something terrifying. Mia wasn't just playing a game anymore. She was about to raise the stakes. And once she did, there would be no way back. My heart slammed against my ribs. Mia, what do you mean introduce? I asked quickly. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she calmly sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling through her phone like nothing unusual was happening. Meanwhile, I stood in front of the mirror, wobbling slightly in the black heels, trying to process what she had just said. The red dress hugged my body. The wig brushed against my shoulders. The lipstick still felt strange on my lips. And the person staring back at me in the mirror looked less like Ethan with every passing second. Mia, I said again, my voice tense. What are you planning? She glanced up from her phone with that same calm expression. Relax, she said. That's impossible right now. She smirked slightly. Good. My stomach tightened. Good. Yes, she replied casually. You should feel nervous. She stood up and walked toward me slowly. Each step was confident, controlled, like she already knew exactly how this was going to play out. You betrayed me, she reminded me again, her voice soft but firm. I know, and you lied to me about who you really are. I wasn't lying. Her hand shot up, silencing me. Careful, she warned. My mouth closed instantly. Mia studied my face through the mirror again. You know what hurts the most? She continued. It wasn't just the cheating. My chest tightened. It was realizing that there was a whole side of you that I didn't know about. Her fingers lightly touched my shoulder. And instead of trusting me with it, you hid it. Guilt twisted deep inside my stomach. I was scared, I admitted quietly. Mia didn't respond right away. Instead, she moved closer until we were standing almost face to face. You should have been, she said calmly. Then she held up her phone. The screen glowed brightly in the dim bedroom. I just posted a picture. My blood went cold. A picture of what? She turned the screen toward me. My breath stopped. It was me, standing in the red dress. The wig, the heels, the makeup. The photo must have been taken earlier when I was trying to walk. My face looked nervous, vulnerable, and undeniably feminine. You didn't, I whispered. Oh, I did, Mia replied. I grabbed the phone quickly, my heart racing. It was on her private Instagram story. The caption made my stomach drop. Meet my new girlfriend. Mia, I gasped. Delete it. She gently took the phone back. Relax, she said. It's only visible to my close friends. That's still people. Exactly. I stared at her in disbelief. You're humiliating me. No, she corrected. I'm teaching you something. And what is that? Mia's eyes locked onto mine. Consequences. My chest felt tight. What if someone recognizes me? They won't. How can you be sure? She gestured toward the mirror. Look at yourself. I did. And she had a point. Between the wig, the makeup, and the dress, I barely recognized myself. Still, the thought of people seeing that photo made my pulse spike. What if your friends ask questions? Oh, they will, she said with a smile. And what are you going to tell them? Mia tilted her head thoughtfully. The truth. That I'm your boyfriend in a dress?
No.
Her smile widened. That you're my girlfriend. The word sent a strange chill through me. Girlfriend. I shook my head. This is insane. Maybe, she said casually. But you agreed to it. I didn't agree. She raised an eyebrow. You're still wearing the dress. My protest died in my throat. Because she was right. Part of me could have refused. Part of me could have walked out. But I hadn't. And that fact bothered me more than anything. Mia suddenly clapped her hands together. All right. My nerves jumped. What now? She walked toward the closet again. This punishment needs structure. Structure. Yes. She opened a drawer and pulled out a pair of delicate earrings. You're going to learn how to behave properly. My eyes widened. Behave properly as what? Mia's smile returned. As my girlfriend. Before I could react, she gently clipped the earrings onto my ears. The cold metal brushed my skin. I felt ridiculous. Yet somehow the final detail made the transformation even more convincing. There, she said, stepping back to admire her work. Perfect. I hate this, I muttered. She walked behind me again and placed her hands lightly on my waist. Do you? Her voice was almost teasing now. My stomach fluttered nervously, because standing there in the mirror, looking at that unfamiliar version of myself, I wasn't entirely sure what I felt. Embarrassment, yes. Fear, definitely. But also something else. Something complicated. Something dangerously close to curiosity. Mia leaned close to my ear. Tell me something honestly, she whispered. What? Did you ever imagine someone would see like this? My heart pounded.
No.
Did you ever imagine someone would control it? Her hands tightened slightly on my waist. The power in that moment was undeniable. I swallowed hard.
No.
She smiled. Then this is going to be very educational for both of us. Suddenly her phone buzzed. A notification. Then another. And another. Mia glanced down and laughed. Wow. My stomach dropped again. What? My friends already saw the story. I felt dizzy. What are they saying? She scrolled through the messages. Then she looked up at me with an amused expression. Well, my voice trembled. Well, what? Mia's smile widened slowly. They want to meet you. The room went completely silent. My brain struggled to process the words. Meet me? Yes. As in person? She nodded. My heart began racing wildly. Mia, that's insane. No way. But she was already typing a reply. What are you doing? She finished the message and looked up, inviting them over. My legs nearly gave out. You're kidding. She shook her head. They'll be here in 20 minutes. The heels suddenly felt 10 times harder to stand in. Mia, please, I said desperately. This is going too far. But she simply leaned against the dresser again, watching me with calm amusement. Relax, she said. This is the perfect test. Test for what? Her eyes sparkled mischievously. To see if my new girlfriend can convince everyone she's real. My heart pounded in terror. Because, in 20 minutes, 3 of Mia's closest friends were going to walk through that door. And they were going to meet me. Not Ethan, but the girl Mia had just created. And, if they figured out the truth, my entire life would collapse. But something deep inside me whispered an even scarier possibility. What if they didn't? My heart wouldn't slow down. 20 minutes. That was all the time I had before Mia's friends arrived. 20 minutes before 3 strangers walked through the door and saw me standing here in a red dress, black heels, makeup, and a long brown wig, pretending to be Mia's girlfriend. This is insane, I whispered again, pacing awkwardly across the bedroom. The heels clicked loudly against the wooden floor. Each step reminded me of the situation I had somehow trapped myself in. Mia, meanwhile, sat calmly on the bed scrolling through her phone like nothing unusual was happening. You're overreacting, she said without even looking up. Overreacting? I snapped. You just invited your friends to meet me like I'm actually my girlfriend, she finished. Her calm voice made the words sound terrifyingly real. Yes, she shrugged. Well, Technically, right now you are. I ran a hand through the wig in frustration. What happens when they realize I'm a guy? Mia finally looked up. They won't. How can you possibly know that? She stood and walked toward me slowly. Then she grabbed my chin gently and turned my face toward the mirror. Look at yourself, she said softly. I stared at my reflection again. The makeup, the wig, the earrings, the dress hugging my body, even the way the heels forced my posture upright. It was disturbing how convincing it looked. You're over 6 feet tall, I argued weakly. Models are tall. My voice. Then don't talk much. My hands. Keep them relaxed. My heart pounded. You've thought about this way too much. Mia smiled. I work in fashion, Ethan. I literally turn people into different versions of themselves for a living. That realization sent a chill down my spine. Because she wasn't improvising anymore. She had a plan. And I was the center of it. Suddenly the doorbell rang. The sound echoed through the apartment like a gunshot. My entire body froze. They're here, Mia said calmly. Panic exploded in my chest. No, 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 I whispered, backing away. I can't do this. Mia grabbed my arm before I could run. Yes, you can. Mia, please. She leaned close to my face. Remember, she whispered, you're the one who cheated. The words hit like a punch to the gut. I stopped struggling. Because she was right. This whole nightmare started with my mistake. The doorbell rang again. Mia smiled. Showtime. She grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the living room. The heels made it hard to keep up. My heart pounded harder with every step. By the time we reached the front door, my palms were sweating. Mia, I whispered urgently. What's my name supposed to be? She paused dramatically. Then she smirked. Emma. My brain scrambled. Emma? Cute, right? Before I could argue, she opened the door. 3 women stood outside. Loud laughter and perfume filled the hallway instantly. Finally, one of them said, We've been dying to meet her. My stomach dropped. The first girl stepped inside. She had blonde hair and bright lipstick. Behind her came a tall brunette and a shorter girl with glasses. They all turned toward me at the same time. For a moment, no one spoke. My heart stopped. Then the blonde girl gasped. Oh my God. Panic surged. They know. They know. But then she grinned widely. Mia, she's gorgeous. I blinked. Wait, what? The brunette stepped closer, studying me carefully. Seriously, she said. Where did you find her? Mia wrapped an arm around my waist. This, she said proudly, is Emma. My brain struggled to keep up. The girls looked impressed. You're adorable, the girl with glasses said. I forced a small, awkward smile. Thank you, I muttered softly, trying to keep my voice light. Inside, my heart was racing like a runaway train. The blonde girl grabbed my hands excitedly. They're so soft. My face turned red. Oh wow, she continued. You're nervous. That's cute. Cute? Was she serious? The brunette tilted her head. How long have you two been dating? My brain froze. Before I could answer, Mia squeezed my waist slightly. A few weeks, she said smoothly. The girls exchanged surprised looks. And you kept her a secret? The blonde asked. Mia shrugged casually. I wanted the right moment to introduce her. The girl with glasses turned toward me. So, Emma, what do you do? My throat dried instantly. My mind went completely blank.
Job. Think of a job.
My voice cracked slightly. The girls leaned closer, waiting. My brain screamed for an answer. Freelance designer, I blurted. The brunette nodded approvingly. That makes sense. You look like someone in fashion. My heart nearly exploded with relief. They believed it. They actually believed it. But the tension wasn't over. The blonde suddenly grabbed my arm. Oh my God, sit with us. Before I could react, she pulled me toward the couch. I nearly stumbled in the heels. They sat around me excitedly. Questions came from every direction. Where did you meet Mia? How old are you? Where do you shop? Are those real lashes? My brain struggled to keep up with the lies. I kept my answers short. Careful.
Soft.
trying not to say anything that would give me away. Meanwhile, Mia watched everything with a calm, amused expression, like she was enjoying every second. Then the most terrifying moment happened. The brunette leaned forward suddenly. Wait a second. My heart stopped. Her eyes narrowed slightly. She leaned closer to my face.
What?
I asked nervously. She squinted at me carefully. My pulse roared in my ears. This was it. She figured it out. Then she said something that made my brain short-circuit. You look familiar. My stomach dropped. Familiar? Yes, she said slowly. Like I've seen you somewhere. My chest tightened painfully. If she connected the dots, if she realized who I was, everything would collapse. Mia's eyes flicked toward me. Even she looked curious now. The brunette snapped her fingers suddenly. Oh, my entire body tensed. I know. The room held its breath. She smiled brightly. You look like that model from TikTok. I blinked.
What?
You know, she said excitedly, pulling out her phone. The tall one with the brown hair. She scrolled quickly and showed me the screen. A girl who actually did look similar appeared on the video. Same hairstyle, similar face shape. My lungs finally released the air I'd been holding. The girls nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, she does look like her. Totally. You could be twins. I forced a small laugh. Inside, my heart was still racing. But the danger had passed.
For now.
The night continued. More questions. More laughter. More moments where I nearly slipped up. But somehow I survived. And the strangest part? The longer it went on, the more natural it began to feel. By the time Mia's friends finally stood up to leave, almost 2 hours had passed. The blonde hugged me before leaving. Emma, you're amazing, she said. We need a girls' night soon. Girls' night. The words echoed strangely in my head. When the door finally closed, the apartment fell silent. I slowly turned toward Mia. My legs were shaking. Well, I said breathlessly. She walked toward me slowly. Then she smiled. You passed. I stared at her in disbelief. Passed what? She leaned closer, her eyes gleaming. The first test. My stomach twisted. First test. Mia gently adjusted the wig on my head. Oh yes, she said calmly. That was just the beginning. My heart dropped again. What do you mean? Her smile widened slowly. Because next weekend, she paused dramatically. You're coming with me to a party. The words hit like a bomb. A party. She nodded casually. With all my friends. My pulse spiked again. Mia, that's impossible. But she just laughed softly. Oh, Ethan? Her fingers brushed my cheek. By next weekend. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You won't be Ethan anymore. I stared at her, completely stunned. Because deep down, a terrifying thought had begun to form. What if she was right?